Hi, I am Patricia Moulton, Executive Director of the North Dakota Center for Nursing, and I would like to introduce you to our Empowering Nurses to Lead, Every Nurse in Every Setting online leadership program. This program was developed by the North Dakota Action Coalition as a part of the Future of Nursing Campaign for Action.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Culber from the University of Mary, and I would like to share with you a little background on the North Dakota Action Coalition. The Action Coalition is a member of the National Campaign for Action that was actually established in response to the Institute of Medicine Future of Nursing recommendations. It is in conjunction with the AARP and Robert Woods Johnson Foundation. The action areas that resulted from the research of this particular Institute of Medicine report include leadership, nursing practice and care, the education of nurses, interprofessional collaboration, and diversity. Here in North Dakota, our Action Coalition has focused on the leadership development of our nursing workforce.
As Cheryl indicated, the North Dakota Action Coalition is focused on the leadership development area of focus for the national campaign. Over the last 2 years, we have been working in groups to develop leadership training that has been customized to the needs of North Dakota nurses. For more information about our Action Coalition, please visit the website listed on the slide. These leadership modules have been developed to be suitable for every nurse in every setting. The Action Coalition groups that developed these modules found that there are several key leadership skills that are shared by nurse leaders across every workplace setting. Increasing leadership in our nurses is important because nationally it has been shown that when nurses are positioned to influence system practices and policies, that this leads to improvements in the quality of care, wellness, and a reduction in medical errors. Nurses just like you have led innovative initiatives that have reduced falls with harm, reduced code blue calls, reduced 30-day readmissions, and improved care transitions. The North Dakota Center for Nursing and the Action Coalition encourages you to utilize your leadership skills as every nurse is a leader. Ways to share your expertise as a leader include volunteering with both healthcare and non-healthcare related committees and organizations. This can also include serving on boards. Speaking up in the workplace is also an important way to use your leadership skills and is a key factor in reducing errors. Speaking up is also important in the policy arena. We encourage you to pursue lifelong learning and to help mentor others as they start to develop their leadership abilities. Sharing the Institute of Medicine report is also a great way to start a conversation. You can also join the North Dakota Center for Nursing leadership team or the North Dakota Action Coalition. The North Dakota Action Coalition is co-led by the North Dakota Center for Nursing and the University of Mary Harold Schaefer Emerging Leaders Academy. The North Dakota Center for Nursing was established in 2011 and is a 501c3 nonprofit organization to create a unified voice for nursing excellence. Our mission is to guide the ongoing development of a well-prepared and diverse nursing workforce to meet the needs of citizens of North Dakota through research, education, recruitment and retention, advocacy, and public policy.
The University of Mary Harold Schaefer Emerging Leaders Academy is an experiential learning program for honors students who learn leadership skills in the context of their future career. In the School of Health Sciences, we work with all of the allied health sciences along with the pre-professional programs to help them to become servant leaders of moral courage. We have an advisory board of external representatives that help us with the outcomes of this program. There is an old adage which asks, are leaders born or are they made? Well, in reality, all leaders are born, as we know that we all enter the world in that way. But what's more important to realize is that leadership can be learned. It can be developed. It is everybody's business, and it is not inherent to a title. It is based on relationships, not a right given to you by a board or your executive manager. It is learned and is not a job. And you can always develop in leadership by adding more skills in an ongoing process. In nursing, for years we have spoken of nurse managers. And it's time we look at a new paradigm. We need to move into leadership. Nurses need to be at the table when important decisions are made at local, regional, or even national levels, decisions that affect the patients that they so closely advocate for. Managers are those people that keep things moving, and we need them. They focus on systems and on processes, and they make sure that things run smoothly. But I would like to challenge you to become a nurse leader, someone who has a vision, who innovates, who thinks about the future, and who challenges the status quo to bring ever better care to our patient population.
This online leadership program is divided into 4 modules that were developed for every nurse and in every setting. Each module includes slides with content, further resources, and additional information, along with a link to an evaluation survey for contact hours. Each module also includes a set of additional optional activities that are designed to help you apply what you have learned and to increase your leadership skills. Materials from these activities can be submitted for a completion certificate. Completion of all 4 modules will place you in a special leadership pool. The 4 modules include communication, that is a foundational for learning and understanding about systems, knowledge of how systems function is necessary to institute change, and the ability to accept and engage in change is necessary to be an advocate for health policy.
Welcome to Module 3, Leading Change, the change and innovation level on the pyramid. The purpose for this presentation is to explore how we manage and facilitate change. The objectives for this presentation are: describe 2 change theory models frequently used in nursing, review how knowledge of systems impacts change and proposals, review the definitions of creative and innovative, describe responses to uninvited change imposed by an outside force, identify a situation where one could use a change model to lead changes in the workplace. To successfully complete this learning activity and be awarded contact hours, the learner must complete the reading assignments, complete any additional learning activities as described in the module. You will be asked to use the skills you learned in the communication module on reflection, complete the course and self-evaluation, and then to earn a certificate of achievement in leadership development, you will need to complete the additional projects as described at the end of this learning activity. Opportunities for further learning are presented throughout this learning activity. You are urged to take time to engage in these extra learning activities. As part of adult learning, you may sidetrack and follow a topic that catches your interest or spend more time digesting content. Please feel free to do so and return to the main presentation when you are ready. According to the Committee on the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation Initiative on the Future of Nursing at the Institute of Medicine, to be more effective leaders and full partners, nurses need to possess 2 critical sets of competencies: a common set that can serve as the foundation for any leadership opportunity, and a more specific set tailored to a particular context, time, and place. The former set includes, among others, knowledge of the care delivery system, how to work in teams, how to collaborate effectively within and across disciplines, the basic tenets of ethical care, how to be an effective patient advocate, theories of change and innovation, the foundations for quality and safety improvement. This module looks at the theories of change and innovation. To be an effective agent, one usually needs some guidance. Frameworks and models provide such a compass. We are going to look at a number of models. We encourage you to take some time and more fully explore these models that appeal to you. Additional resources are provided as embedded links throughout the presentation. One commonly known behavioral change model is Prochaska and DiClemente's stages of change. Nurses have long used this model when interacting with patients. It is often applied when trying to change patients' behaviors. The components are pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. There are many change models that are going to be described in literature. For a comprehensive listing, see the Changing Minds website listed in the resources area of this presentation. Now we are going to look at specific change theories used by nursing. The I2E2 model was developed by Jane Felgren from Creative Healthcare Management. The next slides provide an overview of the guiding principles of I2E2. I2E2 guiding principles are: make every inquiry appreciative. This refers to appreciative inquiry. We have influence, that is responsibility, authority, and accountability. We experience exuberance, that means unleashing your creative self and have support creative endeavors in others. Believe in your abundance. Everyone has something to offer. Be clear, clarity of purpose. Embody the change. As Gandhi would say, be the change you want to see in the world. We get what we pay attention to, so be careful what you focus on. And patients and families come first. All people's feelings matter. We give you this opportunity to stop here so you can explore material provided at the links if you are not familiar with appreciative inquiry. A word about evidence. In much of the material we'll find the word evidence-based, and what does this mean in terms of using evidence when leading change? Evidence-based practice is the integration of the best research evidence with clinical expertise and patient needs and values. Research is classified by levels ranging from its weakest to its strongest. Nurses use evidence-based practice to promote quality, cost-effective outcomes for patients, families, healthcare providers, and the entire healthcare system. It is not proof to win an argument or get your way when seeking to make changes. For further information about evidence-based practice, see the North Dakota Center for Nursing website at the link provided. Welcome back. We will briefly review another commonly used model in healthcare, the Plan, Do, Study, Act model. That model in a nutshell is: plan is define the action or experiment, what will be done, who will do it, and how will it be measured. The do is implement the plan or experiment. Study was the intended improvement realized, measure and discuss the results with the team or work group. And act, standardize the new process if the action improved performance. Act to put the process back to its original state if the plan did not improve the process, determine why and how it did not work, and begin again. You may pause here and explore the link provided, which is an overview of this model should you need further information. Changing a system requires knowledge of both individual and system-wide change theories. You will need to consider how the individual comes to making changes, and you will need to consider how making a change within and between systems occurs. As you consider making changes in healthcare, remember the concepts related to systems. You must assess your system when you are proposing and planning for changes. Remember, a systems thinker does. Seeks to understand the big picture, observes how elements within systems change over time, generating patterns and trends, recognizes that a system's structure generates its behavior, identifies the circular nature of complex cause and effect relationships, changes perspectives to increase understanding, surfaces and tests assumptions, considers an issue fully and resists the urge to come to a quick conclusion, considers how mental models affect current reality and the future, uses understanding of system structures to identify possible leverage actions, considers both short and long-term consequences of actions, finds where unintended consequences emerge, recognizes the impact of time delays when exploring cause and effect relationships, and finally checks results and changes action if needed. If you are like many nurses, you probably see opportunities everywhere in your work environment to improve workflow, processes, and relationships. You may also ask, how can I lead change? You may wonder, how do I become more innovative? How do I become more creative? How do I explore ideas or technology and come up with new ways to use them? Before we go any further, first let us differentiate between the terminologies of innovative and creative. Literature differentiates between these two terms. Innovation means to begin or introduce something new, usually taking an idea or way or technology and applying it in a different way. Creative means original, imaginative, usually introducing a fresh new idea or a way that has not been generated before. To be truly innovative, you need to be creative. Common patterns expressed by creative people are: they're curious, they test and learn from mistakes, they have highly developed skills at noticing, they have an ability and willingness to embrace ambiguity, the unknown, and irony. They cultivate whole brain thinking, both the art and the science. They are flexible and have balance, and they have good systems thinking skills. Roger von Ork writes, common ways we approach creative thinking are: as an explorer. That means looking outside your field, looking for lots of ideas, see what is obvious, see a different route, look at ideas you tend to avoid. As an artist, you mix up patterns, look at things from a different angle, use a metaphor, think how else can you think about or use things. As the judge, you may wonder, what is the idea trying to do? What can be salvaged? What assumptions? What is the chance of success? Is this idea worth spending time on? And as a warrior, what is your strategy to reach your goal? What motivates you? What keeps you from starting? What obstacles are there? How persistent are you? What are the sacrifices or the consequences of failure? So what are some strategies to unlock your creativity? Define the problem or needed change and be very specific. Generate ideas, include the outlandish ones. Select an idea and refine it. Put the idea into play and evaluate the implementation and outcome of the idea once it is in play. In the next 2 slides, you are provided several additional resources. We strongly suggest you pause at this point and take some time to read those articles. Please pause to read the article found at this link. The name of the article is Unlocking the Power of Innovation. Again, pause to read this article found at the link. The name of the article is Structural Barriers to Change and Innovation in Nursing. Why is change so hard? People tend to like things just the way they are. We are creatures of habit. Horace Mann once wrote, "Habit is a cable. We weave a thread of it each day, and at last you cannot break it." To change habits, wouldn't it be simple if this is all it took? To be a leader of change, you will need to ask yourself some questions. Are you the type of person who is resistant to change? Most of us don't wake up one day and say, "Hey, I'm going to change." In fact, many of us are excellent at tamping down change, holding off chaos, or flat out deflating any wild ideas. Often we are the obstacle that prevents ourselves and others from changing, even when outside motivation is positive. And speaking of motivation, there is usually some internal or external motivation for engaging in change. We need to discover those forces when leading change. Kurt Lewin's force field analysis is a powerful strategic tool used to understand what's needed for change in both corporate and personal environments. It helps you understand the system in which you are attempting to initiate a change. Pause here and click on the link for further information regarding the force field analysis. We now come to our first learning exercise. We ask that you answer the following questions, rate your answers in your reflective journal that you started with the communication module. Our questions are: what motivates you to change? What keeps you from changing? When you are reluctant to change, what is your pattern of response to change? Is your response a habit? Do you routinely find yourself stressed with proposed changes, or do you enthusiastically engage in the process? Please pause now. Welcome back. Now let us help you gain some insight from your answers. The first 2 questions seek to help you uncover your driving and restraining forces. Remember our force field analysis? The third question seeks to help you uncover your pattern responses and to consciously make those responses choices rather than respond out of habit. The last question seeks to help you pause in the face of change to reflect on your style of response. Are you a late adopter or an early adopter of new ideas? Are you impulsive or do you refuse to accept change? To facilitate change, leaders must have insight into their own patterns that drive or restrain change. How do we overcome our reluctance to change? Events occur, if we notice, and we make meaning of those events. Meaning making nearly always triggers an emotional response. Those are our feelings. At a fundamental level, humans tend to ask, is what just occurred safe? King, in How the Brain Forms New Habits, Why Willpower is Not Enough, writes, once we decide we are threatened, whether that's real or imagined, our responses to that threat is to maintain our safety. If we stay safe because of our response, we tend to repeat that behavior because we perceive it keeps us safe. The danger is this response could become an unconscious habit. Habits tend to help us guard against any perceived threats that may affect the present state or one enjoys in the here and now. We tend to like things just the way they are. We resist changing our behavior. Long-term consequences are usually not factored into this way of thinking. If we think a change could impact our present state of well-being, we may repeat past behaviors that we perceived kept us safe. Many of us simply resist change because we think it keeps us safe. So how do we help others follow when changes need to be made? We need to remember the goal for facilitating change is to avoid building resistance. Of all the advice on leading change out there, the advice to avoid building resistance is key. You need to engage those impacted by the change. You need to expect some resistance. You need to develop a plan to manage the resistance. The top 2 reasons for resistance to change have been documented as lack of awareness of why the change was being made and a lack of awareness about and the involvement in the change. Engage leaders, managers, and supervisors. You will need to have well-developed sense of emotional intelligence, sound communication skills, and knowledge of how systems work. You may pause here and follow the link on the slide for further information. We now provide you with a story. We want you to pause and reflect after you're done reading about perceptions and change. The name of the story is The Fable of the Roasted Pigs. You may click on the link to access the story. Once you have read this story, the learning activity we ask you to complete is to consider situations you have experienced that are similar to this story. How do these situations make you feel? We ask that you write your thoughts in your reflective journal. We hope you enjoyed this story. Now it's time to pull this information together. Nurses are especially prepared to lead change. Consider the nursing process. We assess the situation, we diagnose the issues, we make goals and outcomes, we use best practices and can be very innovative when we plan for nursing care. We implement the plan, we evaluate the outcome. Essentially, we are pros at managing change. We now provide you a story and how using some of these frameworks you have learned can facilitate a change process. Carol is a staff nurse in the dialysis unit. She has noticed the patient flow on some days is especially congested. She wonders, is there a better way to move patients through the unit while preserving safety and quality? Now that she has formed a question, what will she do next? Should she gather data, more questions, talk to other staff, investigate how other dialysis units structure their patient flow and assignments? Well, let's see. If Carol uses the I2E2 framework, she first develops the vision, which helps focus efforts and manpower. So her vision is to improve patient flow while maintaining safety and quality. Inspiration helps others see the proposed change as beneficial. It is important to connect the vision to the mission and vision of the organization and to the purpose for nursing care. You may create inspiration by asking how it will impact the patient and family, how the change will make individual nurses' practice more beneficial and purposeful, how the change will impact the staff morale. After developing her vision, she gathers evidence from the multiple resources, she assesses, then creates or modifies the infrastructure. These pieces include defining roles, practices, standards, aligning with mission vision. For maximum success, she engages all stakeholders in this process. This is her action plan. Carol reviewed job descriptions for all staff members to uncover appropriate responsibilities. She included nurses, techs, and secretaries. She reviews practice standards related to patients undergoing dialysis. She gathers information regarding financial reimbursement for patient care. She talks to the whole staff, both informally, one-on-one, and collectively at unit shared governance meetings. She collects and assembles input from all stakeholders. She spends some time acknowledging any concerns about the change. She engages her manager in supporting the proposal and in providing administrative level input. She needs a comprehensive working knowledge of how the system functions. She then needs to gather how her particular system functions. Next, to provide necessary education, Carol and her team must consider the various domains of clinical, technical, interpersonal relationships, critical and creative thinking, and leadership. Because for the change to stick, one must include not just a change in one's skill set, but a change in behavior. Once a plan is developed, the team identifies what all the different stakeholders need to learn or do differently to support the change. One significant behavior that was identified was patients did not have an assigned nurse. Rather, whoever was free put patients on and off dialysis. This workflow led to some doing far more work than others for a variety of reasons, leading to staff conflicts. It also was an area where significant errors in patient care could occur. Examples Carol uncovered were medication errors, setting errors, short or long run times. Carol and her team needed to uncover the driving forces and restraining forces that impacted the staff's behavior as it relates to staff behavior to further refine the plan. Again, the overall success of the change is evaluated by collection of evidence. The operational definition of success should align with the vision and be measurable. Outcomes assist the team to refine and address any gaps in success. To measure success, Carol's team decided to measure patients and nurse satisfaction. The incidence of errors before and after a change, this was done per chart review. They already used a patient satisfaction survey tool. They found a nurse work environment survey tool and adapted it with the help of the nursing research department chair. Taking the same scenario, if Carol decided to use the PDSA framework, what would she do? Well, she would plan, and that would be what will be done, who will do it, gather the evidence from multiple resources, conduct that force field assessment, and develop the plan. Then she would do, and that means implement the plan, provide support and education as needed. Then she would study. Has the flow improved? Has the patient's safety and quality been maintained? And next you would act. Have there been positive results? Unexpected benefits? No improvement. Unexpected obstacles. Taking all those things into consideration, she would begin the cycle again. Remember, in leading change, the new style of leadership that is needed flows in all directions at all levels. Whether you are leading change or supporting change, all nurses are expected to lead. Nurses are expected to participate in efforts to influence healthcare policy involving healthcare consumers and the profession. Communication, knowledge of how systems function, and how to lead change are all necessary skills to contribute to advocacy and policy development. The next 3 slides provide additional resources for learning. the change. Implement the change project, evaluate the outcome. A goal you may have is to have a professional level presentation that can be shared at a conference as a poster presentation, as an oral presentation, or as a written document that you could submit for publication. You may also format the final work in a manner to include in a professional portfolio. You may complete all the additional requirements in a portfolio and submit the project requirements at the end of Module 4. For further information on APA style, if you should so choose, please see the resources provided in this learning module.